Keyboard Warriors weekly hot take segment brought to you by our incredible friends, Barrel Theory Beer Company. Check them out at the X this week, Thursday hosting Utah Hockey Club and Saturday hosting the Calgary Flames. You can get their Crowler of the Day in section 105, and you can get Raindrops on Tap sections 112, 217, and club level 36. Or join me. I'll actually be out there in the tap room on Thursday because I'll be out at the game. Hit me up if you guys want to meet up for a beer or just stumble into me at Barrel Theory beforehand. Joe, we've got 3 hot takes on here. We got one that's more NHL, one that's wild, and one that actually pivots over to football. First one here is Connor McDavid, the newest enforcer in the NHL.
3-game suspension, losing $200,000 and mill money. Hey, and that's 2 straight games where he had a allegedly dirty hit, though. Marcus Johansson, the chicken wing on that, no penalty, and then Tyler Myers. So I wouldn't call him the enforcer, but that's a lot of money to lose over a 3-game basis. $200,000.
That's not pocket change. And I love how like emphatic all of the Edmonton Oilers fans and even like the media and different like podcast pundits, like all of them are like, oh, what a dive. What a dive. It's like, the guy's concussed. Like, what are you talking about?
You hit him in the head with your stick. Like what? Like there's no world in which that's like, oh, it is obviously.
Oh, you're talking Garland. I'm talking Johansson. I'm talking Johansson.
Sorry.
That was the chicken wing. No, Garland. I don't think many people were arguing against what happened to Garland. Just the clean stick right to the face.
And again, I get that he was held and annoyed for 15 seconds before that, and hockey god rules where the top players need to get protected, and that should never have happened, right? He never should have had that annoyed that long, but still, you can't do that. And the Johansson thing, like it was subtle enough, even on whatever views you had live, where I could see a referee missing that. But if you watched it again, like, it certainly did seem like, Johansson didn't just concuss himself on accident and didn't miss the game that out indefinitely because of an alleged missed hit. So,
well, it's crazy too. I don't remember if it was you or Russo that pointed it out, but like players like went and asked the ref, like, yo, what happened there? He's like, oh, he caught himself with his stick. It's like, it's not even like remotely true. Like, just say, sorry, I didn't see it. Like, I would respect that plenty, but being like, oh yeah, he hit himself with his own stick. Like that, you just made that up.
Just a missed call like they did on Saturday in Nashville when your check took a stick to the face. Clearly it was a high stick, whether it was incidental or not. Said, hey, I missed that call. Doesn't make you feel any better, but let's be honest about it.
Nope, totally. Next one here, your colleague, Michael Russo, on his podcast, Worst Seats in the House with Anthony LaPanta, paraphrasing this first part, but basically said, like, you kind of get the vibe that you can count on Spurgeon and Brodin both missing like 15 to 25 games a year at this point, just with where they're at, breaking down how they play a hard-nosed game. Where I'll direct quote him is saying, sometimes maybe you have to go the Ryan Suter approach, or sometimes you just let them get the puck first. How do you feel about that?
Let them get the puck first?
Yeah. I also just love like calling it the Ryan Suter approach because that's just going to enrage so many fans.
Anytime you mention Ryan Suter and that whole thing, especially related to Spurgeon too, or like whatever.
Well, Spurgeon was the guy he was sending into the corners because he wouldn't go.
Yeah. And again, like, it's hard from our seats, right, in the press box to like call a guy injury prone or say this and this. Like they play these tough minutes, and like Spurgeon's case, a smaller guy, and he doesn't play a finesse game. He plays in the hard areas, and he does a really good job for his size and being one of the top defensive defensemen in the league. But when you say the best availability is availability, related to the Wild and how important those guys are to this team, as you've seen the last 3 weeks, knowing you're still $15 million in cap hell, whatever, like it probably does worry you a little bit in terms of like the durability going forward with those guys, and no fault of their own, or try to get injured and not indictment on them as people or players. It's just like they're just so important and they can't be replaced no matter how much you like Bogosian or Chisholm or Merrill. It's just clearly not the same.
Yeah.
And guys have to play bigger minutes because of it. And it's just hard to know as a staff or management group, okay, well, we can plan for these 15 games that they'll be missing or if this happens. But like Brodin played a monster game against St. Louis, right? A major reason why they won that game. They played a 2-minute and 44-second shift to close out that game where they came back from behind and he got hurt by blocking a shot, right? So, like, it's hard for me to blame a guy like that when he plays that kind of warrior shift, helps you win a game that no business winning. And all of a sudden, they're like, well, this guy gets hurt a lot, you know. But you see how it happens and how gutsy of a player he is, and he's not shying away from those things. So a shot off the foot in an area where it's not padded, and I don't know. It's a hard thing because from a big picture point of view, you want to have these guys available, and it does affect your team. But to watch them play on the ice and know they're not, this is not like turf toe here. These aren't injuries that aren't like injuries that are minor. If they were minor in the playoffs, they'd be playing. I think Kirill would be playing if it were a playoff game right now, totally. Right? I would imagine potentially Brodin might be playing now if it were a playoff game. But I think in some cases that they're being really cautious, knowing how important these guys are, that even though it does suck for them to be missing these games and losing some of these games without them, that they don't want to get into a situation where they were in previous years where guys get injured in April and then they're missing the games where it can be your season's over.
Yeah. No, and it's funny though, because I agree with Russo's sentiment of like, hey, like it's okay if you want to pull back a little bit, guys. Like let's like try and preserve ourselves. But just the fact that he basically said like, oh yeah, just be Ryan Suter and refuse to go into the corners. That I just, that's meat on the bone. You can't pass it up. It's too good. This last one here, Joe, brace yourself. This is a trigger warning for you, especially on the heels of the football game tonight. Allie Rae, super fan that many of you know on social media for all Gopher Sports and the Minnesota Vikings. Hot take. JJ McCarthy was a game manager in college. Why are people so obsessed? Is it because the Vikings rarely draft QBs high? I know he's going to start next year, and that's the right move. But the amount of people thinking he's the next Brady is pretty delusional. I will hang up and listen.
Oh, man.
Take a sip.
I get people's talking about game manager stuff. And I think people probably talk about Tom Brady's game manager early in his career, too, before he became the GOAT. Not saying that McCarthy's going to be Tom Brady.
Where'd Brady play in college?
What's that?
Where'd Brady play in college?
He's my classmate in Michigan, actually.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. But I think for a player to lead a team to a national championship, he's far more than a game manager. And you saw some of the throws he made against Bama and in the championship game. I think no one will call him a game manager. Does this mean he'll be an NFL All-Pro? I don't know that. You know, and I think it's a worthy conversation in this summertime to know of, like, do you franchise tag Sam Darnold? And do you say those last couple of games are an anomaly or on your offensive line, or do you just jump ship or whatever? But, you know, I think McCarthy will be a good NFL quarterback for a long time. It's just a matter of, like, you're a team in the Vikings that just won 14 games and the expectations are so high. What are you comfortable with going to next year? What will make you feel like, do you want to have a JJ McCarthy and then Daniel Jones, the backup? Does that make you feel good? Or do you go spend $38 million for Sam Darnold's franchise tag with a chance that JJ McCarthy outshines him and he's the guy?
I kind of like go the opposite, where it's okay. Those last two games were bad. Sam, that hurt whatever money you're going to get out on the market. You know you want to be here with Kevin O'Connell. Let's make a deal. Let's come back for something friendly. We don't have to go full franchise tag for the year. Like what?
Yeah.
will you stay for something more reasonable? And hey, it's an open competition. If you play better than JJ, it's your spot.
So you're telling somebody who is headed for the biggest payday of his career after everything, you'll take less than a franchise tag and what 1-year deal? What are you going to give him on this sweetheart deal?
I mean,
how many years?
Contracts are like made up in the NFL. So give him a 2 or 3 year deal, knowing that you can cut bait after 1 or 2 years anyways, because the contracts make no sense. But I don't know.
Money,
he's probably going to go for the payday. I get it. But it's also like the teams that need quarterbacks, it's not going to be fun. And you're probably not getting a guaranteed contract. So, hey, sometimes comfort is worthwhile, but no, it's probably going to be franchise tag.
Possibly. I mean, Kirk Cousins got $100 million guaranteed to play 11 games, and now it's Fox broadcaster. So I don't know what's wrong with that. You know,
sounds like the life.
Like career earnings are like $240 million, and how many playoff wins does he have? You know,
he's done it so well.
A nice guy, wears Kohl's well. He does all that different outfits, and he's like great on the TV and
socks with flip flops. He's got it down.
He's an all-American guy, just a regular Joe with $250 million in his bank account. So.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
Okay, not a hot take there.
I saw this one and I immediately bookmarked it. I'm like, this needs to be put in front of Joe. He needs to speak sense to the people.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not going to tell Allie Rae what to do or what not to do and everything like that. But I'm just saying, like, he's not a game manager. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Tom Brady, but I think he's going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. It's just a matter of when that starts and whether it should be now or not.
For sure. Well, thank you again, Barrel Theory, bringing us another week of hot takes.